Yo, what's good everybody? It's your boy the Strongest Wizard, and it's finally time, baby. It's finally time to do this EX02 tier list. But before we get into it, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor. Cardvice is a great company that designs and sells custom playmats. They actually were able to do my playmat, my custom Wizardmon playmat, and they even added my logo on the bottom right hand side. If you're interested in getting your own custom playmat, just go ahead and message them on Instagram. Alright guys, so we have here our Digimon decks here along with the tier maker that I made, the tier list here. So we have tier 1, which is pretty much the best decks in the format. You cannot go wrong at all playing this deck. Some decks are a lot easier to play in tier 1 slot and some decks are really hard. But you know, they're really good decks with very small downfalls of them, I think. Tier 1.5 those are all really good decks. They're just a bit better than average. Sometimes they can do really well in a tournament, and sometimes they can do really bad. You know, but that's just how it goes. Tier 2, just pure average decks. You definitely can win with the Tier 2 deck, obviously, but you just have a harder time doing it, especially when you're usually going up against the Tier 1 decks. Have tier funsies. They're not tier 2 decks. Sometimes they're usually lower, and sometimes they can be even at 1.5 decks, but these are just more for fun. You know, you're not really trying that hard to win a big tournament with this, unless you're just doing it for fun, you know? And then the last tier, this ain't it. I mean, yeah, that ain't it, right? So just decks that don't do well, you're going to have a really hard time winning with this deck. It's possible, but you're just making it really hard for yourself. So yeah, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start on the top left here, just going straight in order. I have Cherubimon here. Cherubi, you know, in regular BT8, it still didn't see any play. I think that's mainly because of Black War Gray. Black War Gray destroying all your tamers is just devastating, especially for the fact that you don't really run 4-cost tamers except for Matt. So, yeah, this deck, it just has such a hard time against so many matchups. You can definitely clutch it out, but honestly, this ain't it. This ain't it. I'm going to call how I see it. Number 2, Mother D Reaper, everyone's favorite. You know what? I was really scared going into this meta with D Reaper in the rotation, but after playing it, it's actually not that scary. The issue with D Reaper is that there's some matchups where you just win. It feels like an auto win sometimes. And then there's some matchups where you're like, there's no way I can win with this deck. Like, it's impossible. So with that being said, man, it's rough because it's definitely not tier 1. I'm thinking about 1.5 tier 2. I think because of the tier 1 decks and even the 1.5s, I'm going to say it's a tier 2 deck. I don't know if that's a hot take. That doesn't mean it can't do really well. Obviously, the deck can be really annoying, and obviously it can beat tier 1 decks sometimes. But the fact that you have almost an auto lose to some matchups is so rough. Like, how... I'm definitely not going to put in this ain't it, because it is it. Like, I got destroyed by 1 last week, so it definitely is it. But I don't think in the grand scheme of things, it's that high. So I'm going to put it at a tier 2. Alright guys, this next one's a personal favorite of mine, Sakuyamon. I love Sakuyamon. I think it's super fun. It's really combo heavy. You have a lot of thinking, and there's some turns where you can actually just OTK somebody. It's definitely possible. It's a really good time, but it's just a pain in the butt sometimes to get it going. It can be really rough, and you do so much work, and it's just sometimes just not enough. It's definitely... I know in my Sakuyamon matchup I said it's not a tier 2 deck, it's definitely a 1.5. But honestly, it's definitely a tier 2, for sure. You know what? No, you know what? I'm not even going to do it like that. I said I wouldn't put it in tier 2. I'm going to put it in funsies. That doesn't mean you can't win with it though. I really do think you can win with this deck. I think you can win a local. It's very possible, but the matchups it has is so bad. Um, man, yeah. I'm just gonna leave it as funsies. It's a really fun deck. It's right now like my third deck that I've been playing with a lot. So it's fun. It's really fun, and it only gets better later on. So we'll see. All right, another toxic deck here. Blue Hybrid. Blue Hybrid was good, used to be good, and is still really good. I think personally, easy tier 1. Easy. I know that Black War Gray, you can pop all my tamers, or you pop the Tommies essentially, and the mats pretty easily. But the matchup spread with this deck is so good. Like, it has almost like no bad matchups. Maybe one or two. I would say maybe even Reaper could be a bad matchup, but that's just a game of speed at that point. So I wouldn't even say it's bad against Blue Hybrid. Man, yeah, Blue Hybrid is just insane. Currently my current deck. So Justimon. I was playing Justimon. Literally, I'm probably gonna upload a Sukuyamon matchup versus Sukuyamon versus Justimon. It's a really fun game that I recorded. But Justimon, I don't have too much knowledge with this deck. It doesn't seem like you're playing the deck to become the best player in the world type of deck. It definitely feels like you're just playing for fun. You like Justimon, you like the alt art, you want to bling it out. That's awesome. But with that being said, it's a funsies deck. Like, you're not. Are you trying that hard to win with Justimon? You know. I mean, really? Like, I respect it. I mean, I'm telling you, Sukuyamon is one of my favorite decks, and I have to put in the funsies list, you know? Alright. Armor Rush. Man, Armor Rush did super well in the beginning. I feel like, or like in the mid, you know? In the mid of this meta, it did really well. And now we just start to see, I feel like, less and less of it. It can definitely steal some wins, though. You know, it's really fast. But I'm going to have to say... Oh, man. I'm definitely going to have to say it's tier 2. Yeah. Yeah, it's very sad to say, but I definitely think it's tier 2. Man, yeah. That's all I have to say about that. Tier 2, there's just a lot of matchups where it loses. Blue Hybrid really destroys that deck. So, I don't know. Obviously, a ton of other decks destroy it too. So, I mean, even if you set up, if you play against Reaper and they get Gatekeeper online, is there a way for you to win? I don't think there is. I mean, I have no idea. So, yikes. Yeah, not that good. Next one, I did Alphamon for X Antibody. I think X Antibody is actually really good. I think it's really good. I think there's so much utility. The issue is that it has so much. You need so much time to set up. But the deck can OTK you. It has blockers. It can go really strong. It can negate being deleted. DP reduction. Like, there's so many tools with this deck. And I'm actually thinking about where we're putting it now. It's definitely not tier 1. It's not... I want to say... I don't know if it's a hot take, me putting it at 1.5. Honestly, I really don't. I don't know if that's a hot take. Because the thing is that it gets literally 0 results. That's the issue. Like, this deck does not do good in big tournaments. So, I'm going to have to put it in tier 2. But at the very top, as of right now. Definitely putting it at the very top. Alright. Ancient Greymon. Red Hybrid. I think this deck is busted. I think this deck is so good. Like, literally thinking about its losing matchups, maybe if your deck runs blocker, maybe then it's like really bad. But even then, if you block that huge swing, they just win next turn. So that deck is insane. Like, literally, I feel like when I play against it, I'm always on the clock. So like, and I practice with a red hybrid player a lot. And sometimes, like, even blue hybrid's supposed to be like a good matchup against it, or like a bad matchup for it. But I have to pray I hit a Tommy in security. Like that, or they brick. So literally, I'm praying Tommy in security, or they brick. I don't like to play like that. Like, that just sounds miserable. But unfortunately, every other deck plays like that too. Like, they just have to hope that your opponent bricks and that they brick, and so that you can win, right? So, tier 1. Easy. Easy tier 1. Alright. Black War Gray. I think Black War Gray is really good. I think this deck is underrated. Even with Lychee getting second, I think this deck is underrated. So good. It has blockers. It can Digivolve. There's tamer control. You can get out all your Digimon super cheap off Nokias. There's so much this deck has. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the amount of control this deck has is insane. I think the difficult part about Black War Gray and why we don't see more results, I think it's because of the players. I feel like I feel like not enough people are putting enough time into Black War Gray because of other decks. Other really good decks, of course. But I think it's underrated. I think it's really good. So for me, it's going 1.5. I think it's better than Alpha, definitely better than Reaper and Armor Rush. So next deck is Beelstar. I think Beelstar is really good right now. I think it's really good. It's really fast too. Like, literally starting off a turn with Gabu into a Eismon is so good. Like, you're going through so many cards next turn, which it most likely will die. Sometimes it has jamming, but even then they have calling too. Like, they just cycle through the deck so fast, and their mid to late game is so strong. The only issue is if someone drops an Avenged Kidmon on you, it's kind of rough. You just kind of just lose the game. Or Psychmon. Psychmon really messes this deck up really bad. And I feel like a lot of Mastamon decks now are running for Psychmon because of the Reaper matchup. So, yeah, I think... Yeah, it's going to go 1.5. Yeah, I don't know if that's gonna get some people angry, but I definitely think it's 1.5. Then we're gonna go ahead and go into Creepymon. This is like the Creepymon Lilith Loop deck. I think it's good. It's really good. You can definitely beat a lot of decks depending on how well you draw, I guess, like every other deck, I guess. But I think it's okay. I think it's alright. I would say it's tier 2. Like, I'd rather take Armor Rush than that deck, honestly. I would believe more in Armor Rush than Creepymon, but it's still good. Like, it's not terrible. It's not bad either. And it's not for fun, for sure. You're not playing that deck for fun. Like, you're you're counting way too much to have fun. I can't count, so. Next deck is Imperial. Imperial's an interesting one. I don't think we ever see too many people winning any big tournaments with Imperial. They always do really well, they always top. There's always a ton, like usually half of the graph of Imperials. It's really annoying to play against. The fact that they can go turn 2, like, you've heard my ranting about this deck. I think it's so good. But I feel like there are certain matchups where it does really bad. I don't feel like it like destroys enough matchups to put it in tier 1. So, personally, I don't think it's tier 1. I think it's really, really good. Really, really good. But I think it's tier 1.5 at the very top, for sure. If I can get it. I'm just going to move it. Yeah. Tier 1.5 at the very top. I know that's kind of wild, but I really think it's 1.5. Next is Yellow Rapid. Yellow Hybrid with Rapid. This deck is still really good. We see less and less play with it. Like, not that many people are using it anymore. But now that Blue Hybrid is coming back and more people are using Blue Hybrid, I can definitely see it coming back. So, the deck is still really, really good. But I think because not too many people are using it. It just like auto loses to red hybrid. I guess if they brick and you just try to outspeed them and Ricky rush them, but most likely you just lose. Black War Gray destroys that deck like really bad. I think Imperial is faster than it, so it can outspeed it. You just have to get lucky with your security. Honestly, I think even Beelstar is a better. I think Beelstar definitely beats that matchup. I think just spamming a ton of different bodies on the board and just swinging with the free options is really good. Unless they play the Avenged Kidmon, then that's a wrap. But I'm definitely gonna put it. This is a hot take. All right, this is kind of wild. I'm gonna put it underneath Black War Gray. Yeah, I think Black War Gray is better. Honestly, I really do think that. Yeesh. All right, Leomon. This deck looks so much fun. Like I literally saw someone playing with this deck yesterday, with the all art Jerry's that looked beautiful. The regular art of Leomon is way better than the all art, but I'm gonna say this deck is for fun. It's a funsies deck. I wouldn't put it anything higher than that. You can definitely steal some wins with it too. It catches you by surprise. And now there's a lot of Imperial decks that are running Leomon, which is really cool. But this is more like the straight blue hybrid Leomon deck, the one that I'm talking about here. The next one is Security Control, Setcon. Avenged Kidmon, every Setcon deck now runs 4 of these guys, pretty much. His deck is really, really good. I think this deck is nuts. It has really good matchups against a lot of things. Yeah, this deck is really, really good. I feel like it just, if you don't know how to play against it, you just lose. So with that being said, I'm gonna put it. I am ranking all of these in order too. So I'm gonna put it right here, right underneath Imperial. I think it pretty much loses to Black War Gray if they're running the Red War Gray with it, but I think it's a really, really good deck, super good. So next is Masty. I love this deck. You guys know I love this deck. This is the deck I always used to play with. I went like a straight almost 2 months playing this deck straight, like a month and a half. I love this deck. And the comeback factor I always talk about is still there. It's really good. It has maybe 1 to 2 bad matchups. So I am going to put it at number 2 in tier 1. I think this deck is nuts. I think this matchup between Masty and Blue Hybrid is still even. Masty just has so much tamer control, and the recovery kills Blue Hybrid. So, yeah. Next one is Beelsmon. This deck is cool. I know a lot of people really believe in this deck, and that's awesome that you do. But I do not. I don't have any faith in this deck. That doesn't mean you cannot destroy me with this deck. You will probably destroy me with this deck. But that's probably because I don't really know the matchup too well. I just don't think this deck is that great. But I don't know. It's okay. It feels weird me ranking it, honestly, because we haven't seen any results with it. Man, I would probably put this deck. Oh man, I'd put this deck. Whoa, I would put it in tier 2. I think I would put it in tier 2. I know that's wild. But yeah. I'm putting it in tier 2. I think it's really good. I think it's really fast, but to me, it's a tier 2 deck. I'd rather take X Antibody. I'd rather take Reaper. And Reaper beats that deck too, so. Next one is the Green Hybrid with your boy Terriermon and Rapid. This deck is really good. It seems really good. The only thing, though, is that I feel like it's a really, it still has that, green hybrid still has that hard matchup against blue hybrid. And the reason why green hybrid loses that matchup is because of Sayakumon. Just not being able to gain from the JP is really, really rough. So, and, you know, it's just like, and Rhino. So, I think this deck, I think this deck goes underneath Black War Gray. I think this deck goes underneath Black War Gray. I think Black War Gray is still really, really good, and I have too much faith in, I guess, Black War Gray, but the green hybrid's really good too. But I think this is where it goes. I did forget one deck is Gallantmon. Gallantmon's super good, super good. Crimson mode is busted. I don't know why no one's using that deck for that card, but it's just really clunky. I think it has a hard time getting its pieces and get it going. It has really good like board control, but not enough. It's just more of like a build your stack and then hope that they have 20 cards in security to swing with Crimson for game. You know what I mean? It's just slow. So I'd probably put it in funsies. Not that it's not worthy of tier 2, but it seems more of a fun deck. It's not gonna, like, you just play with your friends and you just bring out the Gallantmon deck just for fun. But yeah, that's it. Yo, so what'd you guys think? Kind of wild, kind of crazy. I know this tier list is a little not all over the place, but there's some kind of questionable thoughts and opinions. But I really do feel like it's really accurate. I do feel like Blue Hybrid is the best deck in the format. It's really, really good. But maybe you thought Green Hybrid was too low, or maybe you thought Red Hybrid was too high. Maybe it's too high related to be tier 1. I don't know. But just go ahead and you let me know down in the comments down below. I would love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions about how wrong I am. That'd be really sick. But please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It really does help out a lot. And please stay tuned because I have a ton of new EX02 content coming your way. See ya!